So what we're going to go through on this course is kind of a whistle-stop tour of a full day session that I run across the country for various different businesses. It's a three-part methodology that I would say works for any sector that you're in terms of marketing. But what you need to hold in mind is how that relates to your sector. And if you want to bring something up that is relevant, much more relevant to your specific sector, bring it up and we'll see sort of how we can brainstorm it to be particularly, make a bit more sense to that pace. So the three-part methodology is eat your marketing, a bit like eat your greens, because a lot of the businesses I speak to bring us on because they do not want to do their marketing. So we'd happily take it on. But we've got engagement, awareness, and trust. And these are the three key areas, key elements that go into building a really good strategy. So what we're going to look at on this session is engagement as a valuable metric to monitor and how it leads to sales. So a lot of the business that I do is based and starts with social media marketing as a first touch point to a consumer. Your businesses will be different. Maybe it's LinkedIn as the first touch point. We're going to look at what engagement means for a brand or a business or an individual, and actually how we can use that engagement to drive the outcome that you're looking for. We're going to touch on awareness, which is essentially how do we get seen by as many eyes as possible. We're going to touch on how to do that with paid and organic strategies. I'd also add into that, it's as many appropriate eyes. So who's relevant to your audience? We'll come back to that piece on audience a lot, and I'm sure you're all already aware of the fact that you want to be speaking to the right people. So how do we do that? And then the third piece is trust. Once you've got that person into your universe, you've engaged them, you've got you're reaching more of those people. How do you then keep them coming back, trusting in you, and ultimately reaching your key objectives? So another little bit of interaction. How would you say at the moment you engage with your audiences? There are no wrong answers, even if you say, I don't engage with any audiences at the moment. Maybe if you're working on several different brands, maybe you can kind of think of a whole sort of average, like the most common approach that you take. This might be on social, it could be on email, it could be over the phone. Great email newsletters, very strong. Content, outreach, messages on all socials, LinkedIn, email, social channels, email, mainly LinkedIn. Networking events, yeah, great. Badly, we need to get better at it, great. It's good to know that. Encouraging reviews by word of mouth. Yes, reviews, amazing. We're going to touch on reviews in the third piece on trust. Social, newsletter, website. Great, great, great. So all digital. Anybody doing anything offline? Everything we talk about today will be online, but anyone got any engagement pieces offline at all? Magazine. Yeah, okay, great. Some traditional PR, community events. Yeah. Now, the reason I said there's no wrong answers in that question is because all of these things are brilliant, brilliant ways of engaging with your customers. It doesn't mean you need to do all of them. And whenever we work with a new client or ever we're doing any consulting work, the first thing we talk about is like, what are the right avenues for you to go down? And it helps to kind of prevent a bit of overwhelm on taking those first steps to going down this digital marketing and kind of the marketing strategy approach. That being said, the more you do on your chosen platforms, the places that you know your audience are in or the way that your audience responds, the better. Now I'm going to show you a theory, which is Google's 0 moment of truth. So This is a 7-11-4 world. Now, this theory, I'm just trying to move my little bit so I can see. This is a theory based on research by Google that suggests a buyer needs 7 hours of interaction over 11 touch points in 4 separate locations before they purchase. Now, that can sound quite overwhelming. Is this really possible? It is, if you can focus on where is valuable and important to you. So here are some examples. 7 hours of content, 11 engagements, 4 separate locations. Your 7 hours of content can be from videos, blogs, photos, reviews, influencers you work with. This is the amount of content that a person wants to engage, or when they consume this amount of content from you, that they start to recognize what your brand is. The engagement means that they've made a concerted effort to interact with your brand. That's a like, a view, a comment, a share. It might be talking about the product. It might be coming to an event. And then there's 4 separate locations. So digitally, this is Facebook, Instagram, press. So magazines were mentioned in the chat, flyers, or a partner. And when all of this comes together, all of this work that you've done, and I do know that it is work, ends up acting almost as good as a personal recommendation. So say I go to Charlotte and I say, Charlotte, oh my God, I went for dinner the other night. It was amazing. You've got to go to XYZ restaurant. She's going to be like, okay, Kitty knows places around Brighton, and I'm, got great taste. So I'll probably go to that restaurant, I'll book it. Now that is a very, very quick decision. With what we do in marketing, we're reaching new audiences and we're trying to get to that point of recommendation and trust, and to take that step to book or buy or get a meeting in. And so for me, this concept is really valuable to demonstrate the impact of the work that you do, because it can be quite hard to kind of see where that's how your marketing kind of evolves. So I'm going to show you now a little bit of the creative side to what we do, and how we try and encourage those engagements across social to evoke a response that we need. So this is a client of ours. We've been working with them for a few years. They do surveys online. They came to us with a big challenge. They can't reach under 25s, and it's a huge issue for them as a business. The value of their database is only made up of how equal it is across demographics. Hopefully I've explained that well. So when they have a very small number or a small percentage of under 25s, it means they can only use a small percentage of any other segment in their data. So they really needed to increase their under 25s. So we took on this challenge and said, right, we're going to do that for you. We're going to build your awareness. We're going to drive engagement and develop trust with a new audience to make sure that they sign up and register for your product. So we take a nice fun approach. Again, this is going to be where you need to think about what's relevant for your audience. This is not necessarily going to fit every single brand on this call. But we took to TikTok, we took to Instagram, and we ran some paid advertising campaigns. These we didn't run expecting to get leads from. We ran these ads to drive engagement. So I'll just play this. The idea being, you tap and hold to manifest a new album in 2022. Now, this is a very, I say simple in inverted commas, because it's a simple video edit, but I know that video editing isn't necessarily accessible to everybody. But as videos go, this is a few stills put on a slideshow, and it's a really fun kind of idea that people will kind of play with. this is a little game that we made. And again, it's a still with another still moving around, very cost effective to produce. And you can transfer something like this to any different sector. What we're doing here is we're getting that engagement from our potential audience. Not only does that feed the algorithms, but also it's a direct connection with the brand. So where we're looking at 7-11-4, we're encouraging that 11, which is the engagement piece, because they're playing this game. And then this is just a little bit of a nice piece of content, which was a little bit more dynamic, but still engaging, but in a different sort of way to the games. So we had incredible results as of a result of this strategy. And this is the strategy we employ for all of our marketing campaigns. My business, Trapeze Media, is very results focused. The world that we're in, everybody, I'm not going to dwell on it, but money's tight. We need to make sure that what we're doing is having the outcome that our clients need. So we increased the double opt-ins by 66%. The cost per result came down by 46% in 12 months. And as an added bonus, we increased app downloads. And as of August, so as of last month, we became the lowest cost lead provider for this client. This client has existed for 20 years. We are now their best lead generation provider, which is huge. So there are ways that social media can really work in this sort of format. Okay, so that's the engagement piece. We're now going to touch on building awareness. Now, I'm not going to do too much on this because this section, actually, when we do the full day section, is very much focused on paid advertising, which if anybody is interested in finding out more about, message me, we'll get my details out. But this is essentially a marketing funnel. Some of you will be very much aware of this theory. Some of you may not be. But the idea is that this piece at the top is where we've got our broadest audience in awareness. This is where we want to get the brand out to the right kinds of people. And we use paid advertising to do that, along with other organic strategies, which I'm going to touch on as well. And as you bring the customer from awareness to maybe engaging with the brand or clicking through to the website, you bring them down the funnel to like interest, then they're making a decision, then they're your customer. So you get smaller numbers of people that essentially you get bringing them to the ultimate goal. So yeah, we run ads across all these platforms, and there are challenges to these platforms in very different ways. I'd be interested to know who's actually does run paid advertising already. Oh, there's a question. How about in B2B? Now, I missed that come up, so I don't know what that was in relation to. It might be to the creative. So yeah, let's talk about B2B at the end. I think possibly it was around what kind of creative to put together, but let's talk about LinkedIn. Yeah, paid ads on social is a great way to increase your awareness. It can be quite cost effective, especially if you're running a video campaign. But I do appreciate that. Oh, and also I've got a guide for TikTok Ads Manager, which I can send to anyone that's interested in doing more advertising on TikTok. But I know ad budgets aren't there for everybody. And so how do we increase engagement without paid advertising? Well, one brilliant way to do that is through partnerships. So I've got a little case study here. Again, this is consumer focused, but we can talk about the B2B side and how it can work in exactly the same way. But this was in the pandemic times, right? I'm working with Fitz Wine. If you don't know them, they're a wonderful wine brand. They're actually based in Worthing in Sussex. And everything started to close, didn't it? And we were really keen to work hard and deliver a good result for Fitz, despite the challenges that were laid ahead of us. And we did this through partnerships. We didn't run any paid advertising for this client. And in just 2 months, this is on Instagram, we got 2,500 new followers. We had just over 6,000 people engage, and we created and curated over 100 pieces of content to be used. Now, this was an amazing thing to do at this point because we wanted that brand to stay front of mind, still reach new customers despite all restaurants and bars and theatres being closed. Now, 2,500 followers in 2 months on Instagram these days is quite a success story from a very small team. So the other way that we've seen great growth for clients organically in recent days is on TikTok. Now, TikTok is very consumer-led. It's a high content channel, video. So you need to think about how you're going to deliver creatively on a platform like TikTok. But their opportunity there is huge. With this particular client of ours, we got 1.5 million views in a few months, 14,000 followers in a few months, and it snowballs and snowballs and snowballs. And 1,700 clicks to the web, all organically. Okay, so I'll just pause for a second there. Now, are there any questions? There were a couple that came up just on B2B, which I'd love to talk about. I do actually do a lot of, I build all my own business through LinkedIn, and I'm a big fan of LinkedIn marketing, blogs, and partnerships, corporate partnerships to elevate a B2B brand. But perhaps if anyone had any specific questions, we could explore them. If not, I'll carry on. Tell us more about LinkedIn awareness. Yes. Okay, Emma. Thank you. Okay, so I love LinkedIn. We have run paid ads on LinkedIn yes, Elisa. We have run paid ads on LinkedIn in the past. They are much more expensive than Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, but they're brilliant. What we've seen work really well are lead generation ads within LinkedIn. This is where we have the lead form within the platform itself. So you're not taking anybody off the site, it's all done within it. But you really need to have all of those follow-up processes in place. B2b marketing is a very different fish to consumer marketing. And I think it's really important to understand your full journey from start to finish. So with the awareness piece, I would say, again, depending on the business, but LinkedIn, people are communicating much more through personal profiles than brands. And that is actually across the board. If you look at Virgin versus Richard Branson, Virgin's followership is a drop in the ocean compared to Richard Branson. So I think that will always be a common theme. So if you have a founder, or you have a head of department, or you have a new person who's learning within your sector, use their skills and their knowledge, or their questions and their curiosity to bring out content within your LinkedIn avenues, and use the personal profiles within the business. That's how I would approach LinkedIn awareness organically. And when it comes to paid advertising, I think it depends on your budgets, but the lead generation piece is where we've seen really good results, as long as you've got that follow-up. What type of content is best for LinkedIn? Okay, so this comes back. Oh, you're welcome, Elisa. I think with any content that you're producing, you have to have your customer in mind. And the way that we like to get into the mindset of a customer is think about as many questions and problems that customer has as possible. Say you've got like 50 issues, 50 problems, 50 questions that your customers have. There you've got an incredible base to start your content from. Now, how you format that content, how you distribute that content, I would say don't think about what works best on the platform. Think about what works, but think about what works best for you, because the The best thing you can do is be consistent. So if you say that you're going to do a video, or you're going to really lean into the creating video content, make sure you enjoy that. If you're speaking to camera, make sure it's something that you like, that you can keep up with, or that you can bring in people to help you to do that. Yeah, doing videos and lives. I'd love to know, Emma, your experience of doing videos and lives on LinkedIn. I actually think there's a huge value in that. And I think it's really important not to get too obsessed with the objective of your content being an ultimate sale, because the objective of that content is also to help you get your thought processes together, help you to reach new content, reach new people, to have a conversation. And the more you can kind of lean into the short-term wins, or the smaller wins, the ends will come. So yeah, great. Emma, maybe at the end you could tell us a bit about how your videos and lives have been going. That'd be really interesting. Okay, so we'll just take now to the final part, which is actually one of my favorite parts, which is, what is trust? So this is about building trust with your customers. You've now spent all that time and effort getting people to connect with you. You've maybe made a sale, got a meeting. Now, how do we continue to build trust with the brand? So what is trust? I love this phrase. Trust is a confident relationship with the unknown. That's nice, isn't it? Thank you, Rachel Botsman, a trust researcher, for that. Okay, so I'm actually going to play you a little video. If I can share sound, I might have to just get out and do that again. Hang on a second. So this is just a 4-minute video, which is quite fun. And I think it's always nice to watch little videos, isn't it? Right, I'm nearly there, guys. Okay, okay.
Peep shows. They have a pretty bad name, normally associated with lewd content, but by definition, they don't have to be.
So in an attempt to change that, we took one of the world's biggest performing artists, kept all his clothes on, and set up an Ed Sheeran peep show. Would anyone dare to believe what was written outside and come into our very dodgy looking venue?
How are you feeling?
I don't really know what's going on.
That was fair enough, because we dressed Hamish as a fairly shady-looking spruiker in charge of getting customers.
I got you, Sheeran. Who wants some Sheeran?
All right, I can hear Hamish.
Do you think I'll get anyone?
I don't think we'll get anyone. It's going to be a brave soul.
I wouldn't come into, if there was a dude with a beard with a hat saying, like, come in and see this.
Ed was right. This was going to be tough.
You want to peep at Ed Sheeran for $2? Insurance. Do you want to peep at Ed Sheeran? You're lost. What do you reckon, big fella? Got Ed Sheeran in here. Beautiful ginger head man. Sitting on a stool. What do you reckon? $2. Got Ed Sheeran just sitting on a stool in there. You want him? $2. $2 for a peep. Think about it. It's actually pretty good value.
Despite trying, we'd had a total lack of interest for over 50 minutes.
It's been some time.
We should have got you a more comfy chair, I think.
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm all right.
Big fella, got all the Sheeran you need in there. $2.
What is it?
All the Ed Sheeran you need.
What the what?
Ed Sheeran.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
Is it a singer? Yeah? Is that a yes? No? I think one of the big problems is people think Ed Sheeran's a code word for a new drug. How's it going? You guys like Ed Sheeran? $2. $2 for a 30-second peep.
What, like, are they just saying no?
Yep.
Category.
Dirt sheet peep. Dirt sheet peep. Here we go. $2.
Do you reckon we're pricing it too high? And that's why we're not getting people coming in.
I think $2 is pretty fair.
2 hours in, and Hamish was getting more desperate.
Ed Sheeran is literally sitting in there on the stage waiting for your $2.
We were feeling it as well, but just when we thought this had been a giant waste of everyone's time.
You guys like Ed Sheeran? You love Ed Sheeran? $2? Peep show. Just got him sitting on stage in there. Oh, $2. It's going to cost you $2. You only get 30 seconds though. You want to come in? Hey? Well, there's only one way to find out.
We might be on here.
Here we go. Ed Sheeran peep show. He's there till midday. All right. Your choice.
No, she did the smart thing and walked away.
Listen, if you guys want, I'm just saying, if you guys want to have a go, he's sitting there by himself. It'll probably get busy later on. $2, 30 seconds. I mean, you both can come if you want. Just $2 a head. Everything's above board, I can assure you. I'm not going to get. No, absolutely not. Like, I can't guarantee what it'll do, but yeah. Pay you $2.
And after 2 hours and 23 minutes, including some final hesitation, we finally found people brave enough to take a peek.
Did you guys go to peep shows a lot, or?
Oh, man.
There you go, mate. Keep your clothes on, stay on the seat, behave yourselves. Just listen to the announcement. Have a good one. Enjoy your peep.
Hello and welcome to the Peep Show. Your time will start in 5 seconds.
I'm actually gonna scared.
Darling, I will be loving you till we're 70. Baby, my heart can still fall as hard at 23. And I'm thinking about how people fall in love.
Your time is finished. Thank you very much for peeping.
All right, guys, there you go. Have fun. There you go. Yeah, there you go. A little bit of
Yeah, okay, great. So, I mean, yeah, Jeremy, I appreciate Ed Sheeran, not everybody's cup of tea, but I think we can all see what the point is there, right? It isn't about your price, it's about trust, right? So I find this works across the board: consumer, hospitality, B2B, tourism. Trust is so integral in building those relationships and making the sale or anything like that. And so one of the things that we really push with our strategy when we're working with clients is we don't lead with price. We don't have a discount as a first port of call. We sort of want a death to discount culture in lots of ways. And how can we do value add and experience and things like this? So yeah, well, I'm glad that seemed to go down well. So that's cool. So I'm just looking at the time a little bit and thinking how I can just quickly run through a few nice examples, and then I'll hand back over to Charlotte. So just to quickly give you some thoughts, these are different ways to build trust online, which I know a lot of you are already doing. Good communication, email marketing. Email, I think, is a really interesting one, and I will give another example as well. Is email has gone through a huge evolution in the last 15 years that I've actually been working in. I used to work a lot in email, and data was just an absolute Wild West. There was a time where email was dead and social was coming in. And really, for me, I think email is having a massive resurgence in its importance for businesses. So building your own first-party data is an absolute asset for your business. Being able to communicate with your customers. Don't get hung up on numbers, talk to your audience, segmenting data to make sure you're giving them the right message. These things are huge at the moment and invoke and build trust massively. Reviews, that was something someone mentioned, which I think is hugely important with building trust. Partnerships, trust by association. Who can you link in with? For example, Silicon Brighton is a company I look up to, and so I thought, great, right? How can I get in? How can I speak with Silicon Brighton? Because by association, there's that trust. Hopefully, the guys will be okay about that. I'm sure they are. But that's exactly the approach that I take, is to associate myself with trustworthy brands to then encourage people's trust in me. Very simple, a good website. If you sell online, if you sell digital services, you've got to make sure your website's good. And other user-generated content, people using your product, people sharing it, influencers. We're working with a skincare brand at the moment, and influencer strategy is a huge part of that, because with other people voicing their trust in the product, it builds much more trust from new customers.